As of right now, no change will be made to the offensive coordinator position. Nick Caley is still in control. So, Texas fans, are you starting to lose faith in DeMeco Ryans?
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation, from H-Town to your town, today's episode and every episode of the Locked On Texans podcast is for Texan fans all around. To my everydayers from the Himalayas, thank you for making the Locked On Texans podcast your first listen of the day. And to my newcomers out there, come on in, sit down, and enjoy today's show, where it's really all about losing the faith in what the Houston Texans have put together. I'm your Texans football credential media member and football analyst. You can also find my work over on 4 Times as a contributing writer. I am John Hickman. In today's show, I'm going to dive into the fan reaction to Monday's night's loss and really just the state of the Houston Texans right now. Also, are we starting to lose a little bit of faith in CJ Stroud? Where is that in life without Nico Collins, who is in concussion protocol? The one thing the Houston Texans had not done well to this point is making sure that if it all breaks down, the next player and the next man up will be ready. I don't think the next man up or next player is up already. Quite frankly, I think the Houston Texans really miss Tank Dell. But also, I'll open up today's show just looking at is the faith in DeMeco lost right now for you guys. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Now, diving into the conversation surrounding the faith lost in DeMeco Ryans right now, he was asked about, at what point do you make a change in offensive coordinator? DeMeco Ryans said, we got to press forward. We're pressing forward. Put it all on me if you want to point the finger. He also said this is a collective effort. DeMeco Ryans also was asked about there's a few things Tuesday afternoon during the Zoom conference. He was asked about why Derek Stingley wasn't asked to press against Jackson Smith and Njigma in response to that. And that question was from DJ Bieniemy over at ESPN. He said, our game plan was to get hands on JSN, play him aggressive, challenge him on each and every snap. That was our game plan. And I want to say that the press rate and coverage for Houston was at 12%. DeMeco Ryans was also asked about the rotation at the left guard position, to which he responded, the Texans have a better situation at left guard when they rotate between Laken Tomlinson and Juice Scruggs. All right. So, between 48 hours, we hear the plan was for Ka'imi Fairbairn to kick the ball out of bounds. That didn't happen. The plan was for the Texans to be more aggressive and get more handsy in terms of coverage at the line of scrimmage, not down the field, of course. That didn't happen for Derek Stingley Jr., who allowed nearly 80 yards and 1 TD. That didn't happen, okay? And then we hear, coming off of a 15-day bye, the Houston Texans thought that, and I'm going to put it on DeMeco Ryans because he said to do that. Even though this is a collective effort, he said, put it all on me if you want to point the finger. DeMeco Ryans signed off on the idea that they have a better situation at left guard when they rotate between Laken Tomlinson and Juice Scruggs. And also, Houston won't move on from offensive coordinator Nick Caley, which I don't think that they should. Guys, DeMeco, great coach. Great coach. Good coach. Good coach. I'm saying I'm a good coach. 2 back-to-back. We know the history. 2 back-to-back this and back-to-back playoff wins and 10-win seasons, and I get all of that. But if we got to point the finger to somebody, and if you're asking that finger to be pointed towards you, then those fingers that are pointing towards you are starting to lose faith in you, DeMeco Ryans. And I just got to speak clearly. I have never heard. Listen, if you got two quarterbacks, you don't got one. If you got two left guards, you don't got one. So I hear that about the left guard situation, and we understand that the Houston Texans were taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, who can disrupt throughout that entire defensive front no matter where you line them up at. We also understand that for 2 weeks, and I get it was against Baltimore and Tennessee, but for 2 weeks, Juice Scruggs at left guard, the offensive line protection was a little bit better. But that's the decision that Houston wants to go with. Okay. Collective effort, cool, but you said point the fingers towards you. We want somebody to blame. We got to blame you for that. We got to blame DeMeco Ryans for Kyrie Fairbairn not being able to kick the ball out of bounds after he told us that was the game plan. The game plan was for Derek Stingley to be a little bit more aggressive at the line of scrimmage to kind of knock off JSN from his routes a little bit. Knock that timing off. That didn't happen. Neither of those two things happened. And again, JSN has a monster day, over 100 yards in the TD, and Kyrie Fairbairn essentially wastes a potential timeout for the 2-minute warning. These things are all happening under your watch. And also, by the way, 10 penalties again for the Houston Texans. Twice this season, they've had 10 or more penalties in a game. If fans come up to me, and if the comment section gets to popping with, I've lost all faith in DeMeco Ryans, how could I defend it? It's not my job to defend it, but I've grown accustomed to defending DeMeco Ryans because of the negligence of Nick Caserio. But, DeMeco, these things that you are signing off on in terms of what happens on the field, these things are essentially, it has led to Houston Texans being 2-4. These are big mistakes. And when you hear these things, when I hear these things in press conferences, it comes off as two things. DeMeco still being in somewhat of a, I don't even want to say happy to be here, because that's unfair to the man. But is he taking the bullet for somebody else? Is he taking the bullet for DeMeco Ryans? And not DeMeco, for Nick Caserio. Is he taking that bullet for Nick Caserio? That's number one. But number two, it comes off as clueless over anything. You cannot justify rotating left guards against that defensive front. You can't justify it in the NFL, period, if you ask me. Roll with who you think is the better option. Go off the tape, the better option was Juice. But you can't justify these things, especially when you understand that when your quarterback does not get the protection he needs, everything statistical drops. The numbers drops. The play drops. The IQ drops. That's what I'm going to kick off the next segment. Is the faith in CJ Stroud still there for you guys? And also just life without Nico Collins. We got to be prepared for it. Short week, concussion protocol. The expectation for me is he won't be out against San Fran. Playing, he'll be out against San Fran. And so who can we lean on if the Houston Texans go without him? We're not sure. We got more Locked On Texans talk on the other side. The NFL season is back. So is the NBA. And honestly, there's no better time to be in the stadium, surrounded by fans, cheering on your team. And honestly, guys, Houston's going to need y'all to fill up NRG. They're going to need that good energy. They're going to need y'all Sunday and for the next 3 weeks. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout is frustrating. Well, I just recently bought me some home opener Rockets tickets for Friday's game. Y'all know where I went. I went to Game Time, the app that gives all of the advantages back to the fans. Game Time, fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. I love those zone deals where you pick the section, Game Time picks the seats. and save you big money. Faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. I'm not lying to you guys. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and listen. If you haven't used Game Time before, use my promo code Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code Locked On NFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Get your tickets for the low. Battle Red Nation, it's a tough one for us right now. I'm a part of Battle Red Nation. I advocate for you guys. I speak to you guys, but the product the Houston Texans are putting out there on the field against good teams. It's against good teams where we get to scratching our heads on some of the things that, we see or the decisions that were made. One of the things that really ticked me off, and I mean, I was kind of baffled when I saw this. I think Braxton Berrios is a good football player. I think that in his role, he's done some good things. But that said, Berrios has never been a number one, a number two, or a number three for that matter. And I was confused to see the amount of offensive snaps, but also was more confused to see Berrios returning kicks over Jalen Noel, who's been there and healthy. And for the Houston Texans, who have not used the rookies a lot. We talk about, those guys not creating separation or anything like that. And we also talk about the offensive philosophy. Well, those guys are not on the field a lot to get a feel for the game. If there's one area where he's gotten a feel for the game, it's been, in the special team area where he was good in college. And he's been good for Houston this year. I think he's averaging, 15 yards per return, maybe 13, somewhere along those lines per punt return. So, he does a good job for Houston. And I just question going to Berrios the moment he's activated from the game. And another thing I question with the Houston Texans, I question again, and I've said it before when we looked at the Dare situation, Damian Pierce still being on this roster, the seasons with Robert Woods. I've questioned the decisions Houston makes surrounding vets, aging vets that don't really bring much to the game at their point in their career. And if you guys look, it's always on the offensive side, it feels like. It feels like it's always an offensive player. Aging, and Jimmy Ward, right? Like I just said, we talk about where the faith is right now, and the guy that is asking to point the fingers at the year 3 for DeMeco, and he spent a lot of time on the offensive side of the ball when I was at training camp, and I think that's still a trend from some of the conversations that I've had. But to be the ultimate overseer that means making the ultimate decisions, and some of these decisions are just inexcusable. Can't defend it. But now we look at, has all of those decisions, has it impacted CJ Stroud, and with that impact, are fans losing faith in their quarterback? Yes, it has impacted CJ Stroud. Here's a number that I thought was interesting to bring up to you guys, and this is from Texans Cap. He tweeted this. Houston's average time to pressure allowed. Let's go to CJ Stroud's rookie year. 3.27 seconds. The highlights going around on Twitter right now, and it's kind of funny in a sense because it's social media. What happened to my CJ Stroud in his prime, and this is rookie year? I just told you guys what happened. Houston absolutely botched moving on from George Fant. And if y'all remember, my everydayers that's been here for a long time, that was Cody's boy. George Fant, I think, has played right tackle better than Titus Howard has. And I also think Titus Howard's been playing some decent football, so don't take that as a slight. 2024, 2.88 seconds. 2025 this year, 2.99 seconds. So it's gotten a little bit better, right under 3 seconds for the pressure. So you look at the offensive line decisions that Houston has made, maybe being too late passing the trading, moving on from Laremy Tunsil, where maybe the haul would have been bigger, and you also look at just maybe more the return would have been more justifiable. And I think the trade was justifiable. Let me say that. You also look at Nick Caserio's inability to, at this point, draft an offensive lineman that you trust. Now, I'm big on Ariante Ursary, but with that being said, and I'm just kind of trying to paint you guys a picture as to why CJ may be where he is right now. Nick Caserio has been unable to draft a lineman that can come in and be a stud. And then you also look at the inability that I think Houston has had traditionally to develop offensive linemen. So these guys are coming in. Some of these guys are a little bit raw, and then they're also not being coached up and developed. And then you also look at how Nick Caserio and the Houston Texans brass went about the Stephon Diggs. They traded a second-round pick and got Stephon on a favorable deal, but they chose to void the last 3 years of his deal. The following offseason, you're unable to keep Stephon Diggs. Right now, I think Diggs is 12th in the NFL in receiving yards, and he had a couple of monster games for Houston. And he's also thriving in New England with Josh McDaniels. So you look at, there wouldn't have been a drop-off, and it may have been better for Stephon still here in Houston with Nick Caley, similar offenses. Of course, there's a combination of what's going on in L.A., but his background in New England seems to continue to be what has shown the most. So, faith in CJ Stroud being lost. Well, through 7 weeks, inconsistency in calling out where the pressure is coming from, I think is a problem for CJ Stroud, amongst other things, which I'll get into with Life Without Nico. I also look at, okay, CJ Stroud's, he will make a bad situation worse. I talked about it on the Tuesday show, where he'll drift back too often and he'll create bad sacks, bad moments. And the thing about CJ Stroud is how, like, judging him on a scale, because when you drift back, it's horrible. But CJ, we have pure evidence when you operate in the pocket, step up in the pocket, and decisive in that pocket, climbing it, moving up to use your legs to get those extra yards, or you're able to keep your eyes downfield to make a play. But granted, when you get that pressure in the middle, it's hard to trust your offensive line. I understand that. But I'm starting to see more and more comments where we need to move on from CJ Stroud. He's not elite. He's not the guy. I am seeing those a lot more. And to those fans, I would say, while your reasoning may be valid, understand this. For 25 years, the Houston Texans have been trying to recreate New England. For 25 years, and moments in that, you look at different pockets where they maybe moved away from it a little bit. But Nick Caserio, he's brought in some of his Nick Caserio guys. He's also brought in a lot of John Carroll guys as well. Very buddy with his guys. None of that has led to a complete roster or the inability to hold over guys. Right? Stroud, Houston may very well ruin Stroud. Not to say he won't go on to have a successful career. I actually have a theory that if this thing doesn't get fixed for CJ Stroud within the next 2 years, my theory is CJ won't sign that. I don't think he's going to look to stay in Houston. I really don't. We know the background with his agent. We know that his agent always finds the best situation for his clients. And we also know that there is an aging quarterback in LA. You do with that information as you want to. We also know that CJ loves being at home. But Houston has to fix it. I don't think that there's going to be there's a lot of room left for Houston to create these errors without CJ starting to feel like I got to get out of here. Now, life without Nico Collins, the Houston Texans are kind of screwed here. Just to be plain and simple, guys. What Houston has done They have not put Higgins or Noel out there enough to fill the void and needs of a wide receiver too. Also, Houston traded John Mechie to Philly, and they could use him right about now. I always feel like that was a bad decision. Now, you may look at what John Mechie is doing in Philly and may say, well, he ain't doing nothing in Philly. What's the difference between Philly and Houston? The snaps and the opportunities would have been here in Houston. Also, the familiarity is here in Houston. That was a mistake. And you also look at life without Nico Collins. Life with Nico Collins, when there's no Tank Dell, has always been one-dimensional and hard for the Houston Texans offense. If there was ever a time where we see why Houston needs Tank Dell, it's been the first 7 weeks of this season. Now, of course, we see it in the playoffs, but the mindset could be the playoffs. Is the playoffs, things happen, the better teams play the better teams, and, you know, maybe you're getting out coached. But because of the Houston Texans' inability to consistently block for CJ Stroud, what Tank Dell, the element he brought to this team was being so good in short areas, getting open so CJ knows how to get the ball out quickly and not have to wait for some of these longer developing routes downfield. Schematically, Tank Dell just allows for quarterbacks, and I'm talking about CJ Stroud here, to be able to be pressured because he knows that he has a weapon that can get to that spot quickly and can get upfield when he gets the ball in his hands. There is no Tank Dell here on this offense. Nick Caley has not done a good job, in my opinion, in revamping what he wants to do with his offense. And then he also said on Friday, players over plays, where it feels like either you don't have the players or you don't have the plays, or you sticking with your players, your plays over your players. Either case, there's going to have to be some type of adjustment made. And through 7 weeks, do we think that there will be an adjustment made? I'm not sure. I'm not going to say yeah. I'm not going to say no. I'm indifferent about it. But they're going to ask a lot more of Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, and those guys may not be ready. They're going to ask a lot more of Dalton Schultz, who's done very good this year, in my opinion. The one thing that I don't want to see, if you're going to go down swinging with the guys that you chose to roll with, I don't think we need to see an influx of Justin Watson and Braxton Berrios. I can't trust Xavier Hutchinson to be a wide receiver too. When no Tank Dell is here, Houston has not had a wide receiver two since Will Fuller, healthy. Stephon Diggs, yeah, but that was short-lived. Tank Dell is also, if you look at it in terms of seasons, that's short-lived. And when Tank Dell has not been on the field, that is where you see CJ Stroud's play drop off. Because Tank Dell is a weapon that allows you to beat the pressure that's coming in your face, coming from every angle. You don't got that. And Houston hasn't found a way to implement Jalen Noel into that system. So you guys got to be ready. If CJ Stroud has a rough game against a very well-coached 49er team, without Nico Collins, be ready to be disappointed if Higgins and Noel are not factors. They're not ready. Play-wise, skill-wise, they may be ready, but those guys were not ready to take over the mantle from Nico Collins, who's had a bad year. He's had a bad year. He hadn't been Nico, like 12 out here. 3 touchdowns on the year, a couple of good moments here and there, but he ain't been like the guy that Houston needs him to be to carry a weaker wide receiver unit. I got some fan reactions that I want to dive into on the other side of the break. We got more Locked On Texans talk. Don't go nowhere.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs. With features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance, you can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go, while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Also, Texas fans, awesome time to let you guys know that with the NFL season being here and also the NBA season is kicked off Tuesday night with a great set of games. FanDuel has everything you need and an offer you don't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and you'll get $300 in bonus bets. If you win, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you will unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So you'll be able to use that on player props, parlays. You can even save that $300 and follow live lines during games. It makes watching sports more exciting when you got a little something extra riding on the action. And listen, whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. Stop waiting. Get into the game today. Visit FanDuel.com to download FanDuel app today and get started. Welcome back, Texan fans. We're going to close out today's show diving into the comments. Again, just before I do that, man, just some interesting thoughts that I have for the Houston Texans right now. It's been frustrating to watch because a lot of it's been self-inflicted. A lot of it has been self-inflicted. But you guys, when I heard the best game plan for Houston was to rotate left guards, I was shocked. I was shocked. I never thought that I'd hear DeMeco Ryans say something like that. And I've disagreed with some of the things that he said before. I've disagreed with some of his approach. I absolutely disagree with a lot of things Nick Caserio has done. But that was the one where I immediately thought fans and even the players inside of the building, all speculation here, just me talking my opinion. But if those guys wanted to lose faith in their coach, that was the moment where, yeah, coach, you lost me, and I don't know if you can buy me back. 281 H-Town, live looking at the fan reactions. 281 H-Town, not only was the play calling horrible, but the rotations on the offensive line and rotations of receivers and running back was bleeping terrible. We don't need to see Dare anymore. If there's not two running backs, we do not need to see any more Dare taking running back snaps, nor Dameon Pierce. If you got them on a roster and you want to use them, or if you want to use those players to maybe, get tricky with game day rosters and elevations and inactives, okay, cool. Special teams, fine. But just because Dare made that field goal a couple of years ago, the loyalty shouldn't be there for him. And I think he's a great guy. I think he's a good football player. He made it to the NFL, you're a good football player. But the Houston Texans should be operating in a space and atmosphere where barely making it ain't going to cut it no more. When you have a quarterback like that, you got to make some of these tougher decisions to be better. And Houston has held on, to some players that just ain't getting it done. This is from Marl. This is from another Texan fan. Y'all gotta simplify some of these YouTube names. Ed Ingram doesn't keep his shoulders square on pass blocking. He turns trying to block the DT that is already blocked and lets in linebackers on delayed blitz. It's a problem. It's a problem, man. And I'm going to take my Texans hat off for a brief second. I'm going to put on my Patriot hat. If you got any ties to New England by the end of the year, you may need to be out that building. Now, I think Cole Popovich has done a better job than last year. I also think he's handicapped a little bit simply because, hey, this is what I got to work with. Laker Thompson has not been good in the NFL. Ed Ingram, who has improved. I'm not even going to lie. Ed Ingram has played some good football for Houston. But this is what I got to work with. So, hey. Backstreet Marine. Danielle Hunter came up missing in the playoffs against KC as well. Twice this season, if I'm not mistaken. Seems like the norm, Johnny. You could have just called me John there, buddy. But, yeah, Danielle Hunter's making a ton of money, guys. And if it feels like there's moments where I just don't know where he is on the field. So, yes. BONYM371. I remember when CJ Stroud claimed he was a top 5 quarterback with the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and totally dismissing Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. The San Francisco 49ers with a banged-up team, banged-up quarterback, finding ways to win. People keep making excuses with CJ Stroud with a 2-4 record. Is this guy really the guy? I'm not so sure. And then Danny Corleone responded to that. Exactly. Joe Flacco beat the Steelers on 2 weeks' notice. CJ has no excuses in year 3. He shows no heart, no fight. He's also, and I disagree a little bit, he's fighting through a lot, guys. He's getting hit and banged up, and he also dealing with an offensive play caller that all y'all want fired. You're also talking about Joe Flacco and an Aaron Rodgers that's been in the league 15 years, 2 MVP winners. Joe Flacco had one of, if not the greatest playoff run from a quarterback. So I think it's a little bit hard, but to the point of that was originally made, he doesn't show any willingness to change, adapt, overcome, etc. He's completely unaware of how bad he is, the same way he lacks pocket awareness. And that bothers me as well. I also look at some of the comments that were made about the Texans pissed off because we suck as a franchise in primetime games and our offensive line is trash. Frustrated. The season is over. Fire the OC. Get CJ a new line to protect him. And Nico got to stay healthy. The DOK. I need to smoke my faith away because enough is enough. I also got another one where my boy said, let's get ready for some basketball because this season is done. Y'all are checked out already? If Houston loses against San Francisco, with everything San Francisco has going on, and if you guys remember my everyday is notice, I said Seattle is not the game for Houston for them to win and get everything back on track and prove that they can turn it around. It's San Francisco. It's San Francisco. Even with everything, San Francisco is what 5-1, 5-2. Damn good football team, well coached. The system works. Thank y'all for watching today's episode. If they lose Sunday, really get ready for some basketball. All y'all was talking about football, go get ready for some basketball. Thank y'all for watching today's episode. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on YouTube wherever you listen to your podcast. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12. Until next time, Texas fans across the nation, let's have a good week. Let's reconvene on Sunday. Well, I'll be with y'all every day, Monday through Friday, your team every day. Squad show later today on Tuesday evening. But if they lose on Sunday, call me Checked Out Johnny. Peace.